Hey, what's up guys? Hope you enjoyed that trailer. It kind of covered basically everything that the course has to offer. I do want to add a few more points here with you as well about what's going to be in the course and kind of what you'll learn. I'll make it quick so that way you can get on with the course. So it's going to cover all of the fundamentals, the really important stuff. You're going to have modeling, texturing. We're going to have a portfolio rendering section so that way you can actually present your work for potential companies, or just, to flex on your portfolio, whatever it is. We're also going to discuss UV unwrapping, very important techniques that we're going to show in there. Triangulation, baking. There's so much stuff in here that we can't really talk about in the next few minutes, but that will definitely be discussed in this course in depth.
In addition to what Josh just said, this course is going to be the traditional BlenderBros course, which means one model from Josh and another from myself. So you will be presented not just with two different models that you can, have fun with, but also different ways of approaching the same subject. And consequently, we're going to be showing how to texture stuff in, for example, Substance Painter, but at the same time in Quixel Mixer. And we're going to show you how to bake maps in Substance Painter, but also in Mammoset Toolbag and even Blender. So, there's going to be Unreal Engine export, Photoshop stuff. It's just so much stuff over there. So the whole idea of the course is to present you with a set of tools that will enable you to create your own personal game asset workflow and prepare you for possible jobs in the future.
Now I want to quickly talk a bit about the tools we'll be using. So since this is a hard surface game asset course, we can take advantage of the Boolean workflow. We're going to be using a strategy called the mid-poly strategy, which means you use a one segment bevel with a weighted normal modifiers to fix the shading, but also to have a bevel on the mesh that's physical. I made a video on this before. Baking bevels does not look very good, so we won't actually be employing that strategy. I'll show you the difference between a mid-poly, which is a one segment bevel, and a baked bevel, but they don't look, the baked bevel does not look very good, so we'll be using the mid-poly strategy. Now, this does make the poly count a bit higher, but this is probably a good trade-off because lots of video cards can handle it nowadays. Not to mention, if you don't want to use the mid-poly strategy, all you have to do is turn off the bevel modifier and you'll be good to go. Now, as for the tools we'll be using, we're going to be using HardOps and Box Cutter for modeling, but the nice thing about this course is that this is an entire workflow course. Most of our other ones are mainly modeling, but on this one, it's specific to game asset workflow. So modeling is only about 20% of the entire course because we also have unwrapping, we have texturing, we have triangulation, we have baking, we have a lot of different things we have to do after the modeling. We also have high to low poly to make sure we get those bakes onto the low poly, have an optimized asset. So modeling is not the big part of the course, believe it or not, although we'll be showing you how to model. So the nice thing about that is regardless of what software you use or what tools you use, you can employ those same strategies in whatever tool you prefer to use for modeling.
Big part of preparing a game asset is going to be triangulation, because different types of software have different algorithms for this. And for example, if you bring an asset from Blender to, let's say, Substance Painter or Quixel Mixer, the software will automatically triangulate the mesh, and the result's going to be very different. Therefore, you need to do this in Blender. So we're showing you a lot of different techniques and how to handle specifically n-gon mesh, because there are a lot of courses out there that cover quad modeling, etc. But we are focusing on what we preach, which means n-gon mesh. So we show you how to do this not just on the low poly but also on the high poly. So mind you, we're going to be triangulating mesh of the low poly with one segmented bevel and the high poly with 3+ segmented bevels. So that's exceptionally important, because if you're going to bake anything that's not properly triangulated, you're going to have artifacts in the normal maps, and the whole point of this course is to create really clean AAA quality normal maps.
So we're going to wrap this up in just a second here, but the last thing I want to discuss is how important unwrapping is. A lot of people unwrap, but they don't take into consideration that you need to pack your islands and make it as efficient as possible. People also have just crappy unwraps where seams are everywhere and it just doesn't look realistic at all. So the whole point of our unwrapping section is to show you a nice and convenient way to unwrap in just a few clicks, but also how to manage the visible seams and work around that so that way the unwrap looks natural and is also prepared at a decent resolution for textures in Substance Painter or in Quixel Mixer. So there's a lot that goes into unwrapping, but it's actually a lot easier than you think when you employ some of the methods we're going to show you.
Now let's talk about tools that we're using. Okay, so we're gonna be covering Blender, of course, naturally, and we're using Hardops and Box Cutter for the modeling part, but you don't really need if you don't have them, because the modeling part, like Josh said at the beginning, is quite easy. So if you know basics of Blender, you can, follow along without these tools. However, the point of us using these tools is to show you how a professional workflow would look like if you want to be a professional game asset creator, or you just want to do it for a living or just to make some money. You do want to use tools that will speed up your workflow. So, we're going to use these two add-ons. We also use UV Pack Master 2 and Zen UV, but again, we show you how to do it without these tools in vanilla Blender. So again, we give you a lot of choices, the same way as we give you a choice with, between the Substance Painter and Quixel Mixer, whereas, the Substance Painter is a paid software and the Quixel Mixer is a free one. So there's tons of different kinds of options that you can choose from, and the point of this course, once again, is to give you a tool set from which you can just pick whatever you want.
So I'm going to quickly summarize everything, then we'll talk a bit about the price and where you can get the course. So of course we're covering modeling, texturing, rendering, unwrapping, triangulation, baking, high to low poly, tons of different tips and tricks, tons of different tools you can use, way more than I can possibly present in the next 30 seconds to a minute. It'll all be in the course, obviously. Now let's talk a bit about the pricing, because most people want to know the pricing. So it's going to be $50 base price, but for the next 72 hours we're going to release it for 20% off, so the early birds can grab it for 20% off, $40 next 72 hours. Don't miss out on that one. You can get it on Gumroad, Blender Market, and also our website. And one quick point about our website. Now, a lot of people were requesting streaming, and there's kind of limitations to streaming, like on Blender Market and Gumroad. The functionality isn't quite there in terms of a more natural streaming website like you might have on like Udemy or Teachable, for example. So our new website actually supports streaming of the course. So if you get it on our website, you can stream it, you can make an account on there, it'll go back to where you left off whenever you close the course, and it's in full HD 1080p, and you can also post comments in there and ask questions to me, from fellow students, whatever you want. So yeah, I would definitely suggest grabbing it on our website if you want something that's streamable, but Gumroad is also a fantastic option for those of you that prefer Gumroad. That's also a big platform of ours, and Blender Market as well. So those are the three big platforms you can get it on. All the links will be in the description. Like we said, 20% off for the first 72 hours. The links will be embedded below, and we'll also give you the actual coupon code, which is BB Game Asset, in case those links don't actually work. So that's about it, guys, and we're looking forward to seeing you in there. If you have any questions, post in the comments and we'll answer them.